Have you ever seen an animal so small yet so terrifying that it defies everything you thought you knew about the food chain? You might think of lions, tigers, maybe a big grizzly bear. But I'm here to introduce you to a creature that doesn't need size to dominate. It doesn't need speed or stealth or even venom. No, all it needs is rage, toughness, and an attitude that screams, "I will fight anything that breathes." This animal is the honey badger. If you've never heard of one before, don't feel bad. They're not flashy, they're not beautiful, and they don't make headlines unless they're doing something ridiculous, like chasing off a pack of lions, tearing through a beehive like it's nothing, or biting a cobra in half and walking away like a boss. But trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this scrappy, skunk-like little mammal might be the most hardcore animal on the planet. And if you love wild animals with insane survival instincts and fearless personalities, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got some of the most unbelievable animal stories coming your way. And today's story is one you'll be talking about for weeks. Now, let's get into it and start with a simple question. What even is a honey badger? Scientifically known as Mellivora capensis, the honey badger isn't actually a badger in the traditional sense. It belongs to the mustelid family, the same group that includes weasels, otters, martens, and wolverines. So think of it like this. If a skunk, a weasel, and a small tank had a baby, that would be the honey badger. Its body is long and thick-set, with short, powerful legs and large claws perfect for digging or shredding. The fur is coarse, mostly black, but with a bold white or gray stripe that runs from the top of its head down its back and tail. Some scientists think this color pattern is actually a warning, a natural way of saying, back off or else. But if you think this animal's power comes from its looks, you'd be wrong. The honey badger isn't terrifying because it's huge or fast. It's terrifying because it just doesn't care. Where in the world can you find one? That's the next logical question, right? If you're the kind of person who likes camping or going on safari, it's good to know where this little warrior might show up. Honey badgers have an impressively wide range. You'll find them all across sub-Saharan Africa, where they roam freely through grasslands, savannas, and even mountainous regions. They're also present in parts of the Middle East, think Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and stretch into Asia, including India, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, and Nepal. They're not limited by altitude either. Some live near sea level, while others thrive in high mountain regions like Ethiopia's Bale Mountains or Morocco's High Atlas at elevations over 13,000 feet. So whether it's baking hot deserts, cool highlands, or dense forests, the honey badger is home. It doesn't need perfect conditions. All it needs is food and a place to dig. And speaking of digging, these animals are absolute machines when it comes to tunneling. With their long claws and incredible strength, a honey badger can dig a hole deep enough to hide in within minutes, even in hard, compact soil. Their dens typically have a single entrance and can be anywhere from 3 to 10 feet deep. Inside, they rest, store food, and raise their young. Sometimes they'll take over abandoned burrows from other animals, like warthogs or aardvarks, or even rework termite mounds into cozy underground homes. And here's the wild part. Honey badgers don't need soft soil. They'll dig right into packed dirt, gravel, or rocky terrain if they have to. That's how determined they are. No shovel, no tools, just claws and raw power. What's on the honey badger's menu? This part is where things get both interesting and disturbing. You see, honey badgers are opportunistic omnivores, which means they eat just about everything. Let's start with the plant-based stuff. They'll chow down on fruits, berries, roots, and bulbs. They'll tear bark off trees to get to insects hiding underneath. They've even been observed flipping over stones just to see if something tasty is lurking beneath. But that's just their appetizer course. When it comes to meat, the honey badger becomes a fearless predator. They hunt and eat frogs, birds, rodents, and lizards. But their real claim to fame? Snakes. Poisonous snakes. Venomous snakes. Some of the deadliest reptiles on Earth. And the honey badger doesn't just eat them, it hunts them. Cobras, puff adders, rock pythons, even the black mamba, which is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. The black mamba has enough venom to kill 10 adults with a single bite. Most animals wouldn't dare get close. But the honey badger, it attacks head-on, gets bitten, shakes it off, and keeps fighting. In fact, honey badgers have a kind of natural resistance to snake venom. They may go down for a while, sometimes even lose consciousness, but after a short nap, they wake back up and finish their meal. Let that sink in. This animal gets bitten by a black mamba, passes out for a few minutes, then gets up, shakes it off, and eats the snake anyway. I don't know about you, but that's one of the most metal things I've ever heard in the animal kingdom. Now let's take this madness up another notch. You already know that honey badgers eat venomous snakes like it's just another Tuesday. But it doesn't stop there. These animals will literally attack and eat anything they think they can overpower. And sometimes they even go after prey they can't overpower and win anyway. There are confirmed reports of honey badgers attacking full-grown domestic goats and sheep. That's an animal 3, 4, even 5 times larger than them. But the honey badger doesn't care. It sees size as a challenge, not a limitation. They've also been seen cracking open the shells of tortoises and turtles. Now, think about that. Turtle shells are incredibly tough. Even hyenas struggle with them. But honey badgers, they've got jaws so powerful and teeth so sharp, they can bite straight through, and when they're not hunting or digging, they're stealing. Yup, honey badgers are also known as nature's fearless thieves. They've been spotted barging into lion territory and stealing kills from young lion cubs. Imagine that, a honey badger walking up to a lion's dinner, snarling at the cubs and claiming it for itself. And the cubs don't fight back. They back off. They know better, because even lions know. A fight with a honey badger isn't worth it. And here's something else you might not know. When honey badgers eat, they don't waste a single bite. They consume everything: flesh, fur, feathers, bones, internal organs, everything. It's like their stomach is made of steel. And their teeth are capable of crushing bone like it's nothing. So let's recap. This animal eats venomous snakes, breaks into beehives, devours prey whole, steals from lions, cracks open turtles, and shrugs off pain. And you're probably thinking, how is this even possible? The body built for war. It all starts with their physical build. Honey badgers are low to the ground, thick-bodied and incredibly muscular for their size. Most adults weigh between 20 and 35 pounds. They're not big, about 2 to 3 feet long from head to tail, but their weight is dense muscle packed into a stocky frame. They stand about 10 to 12 inches tall at the shoulder, about the height of a small dog. But don't let that fool you. Inside that little body is a fighter with more weapons than most predators twice their size. Their legs are short but powerful, built for both digging and delivering crushing blows with their claws. Their paws have long, curved claws that act like mini pickaxes, capable of tearing through dirt, wood, skin, and bone. But the real secret? Their skin. Honey badgers have some of the thickest and most elastic skin of any mammal their size. It's so tough that it's almost impossible for predators to bite through. It's been described as rubber-like, allowing the badger to twist, turn, and even flip inside its own skin while being attacked. So if a predator manages to bite a honey badger, which is already hard to do, the badger can literally spin around inside the bite and counterattack from the inside. It's like nature gave them their own built-in suit of armor and a license to brawl. Don't forget the smell. As if all of that wasn't enough, honey badgers come with their own chemical warfare. Just like skunks, they have an anal pouch that can release a foul-smelling substance when they feel threatened. And this isn't your average stink. It's been described as eye-watering, suffocating, and impossible to ignore. In fact, some scientists believe the smell actually plays a role in one of the honey badger's most famous behaviors, raiding beehives. Yep, it's not called a honey badger for nothing. Honey badgers love honey, and they love eating bee larvae even more. But instead of gently reaching in with a stick like a human might, they just smash their way in face first and start tearing everything apart. Bees swarm, they sting, they panic. But the honey badger doesn't flinch. It's resistant to bee venom, and the foul odor it releases might even help calm the bees down, at least temporarily, giving the badger just enough time to rob the hive blind. Imagine a creature so determined to eat that it'll willingly take dozens of stings to the face and still come back for more the next day. That's not just tough, that's obsession. A reputation earned by now, it's probably clear that honey badgers don't just survive in the wild, they dominate it. But their behavior isn't just about food or defense. Sometimes, they fight just because they feel like it. Seriously, honey badgers have been known to pick fights with animals they aren't even planning to eat. Fights that serve no clear purpose other than establishing dominance or defending territory they don't even live in. They'll walk into another predator's space, sniff around, scratch the ground, maybe steal a bite of food, and then stand their ground, waiting for a reaction. And when that reaction comes, they're ready, because unlike many animals that avoid conflict, the honey badger lives for it. They've been caught on camera squaring up to leopards, jackals, wild dogs, even humans. And they don't run. They don't back down. They don't hesitate. They fight. And they win. Not always, of course, but often enough that even large carnivores think twice before engaging, because even if the honey badger doesn't kill them, it's going to hurt. A lot. Let's go a little deeper now, into the part that makes even the bravest wildlife experts uneasy. You already know that honey badgers are tough. you know they're aggressive. But what really cements their legacy as one of the scariest animals in the wild is what they do when they're truly pushed, when they decide it's time to destroy. Because the honey badger has a secret weapon, and it's not its claws, it's not its teeth, it's not even its venom resistance or bone-crushing jaws. The honey badger's most terrifying weapon is its strategy. This animal isn't just aggressive, it's smart. It knows where to strike. And when it goes up against larger animals, including humans, it often uses one horrifying tactic. It goes straight for the groin. Yes, you heard that right. The honey badger has been documented multiple times, leaping onto the backs of large animals and targeting their most vulnerable area, the testicles. This brutal move is not random. It's a deliberate, calculated method of bringing down an opponent quickly. The tactic is known among researchers and field biologists as emasculating the prey. Let that phrase settle in for a moment. The honey badger launches a full-scale assault on the softest, most sensitive part of the body. And once its opponent collapses in pain and confusion, the honey badger continues its attack, clawing, biting, tearing through everything in its way. There are verified reports of honey badgers using this method to take down animals as large as water buffalo and wildebeest, animals that weigh 600 to over 1,200 pounds. And remember, the honey badger at its biggest barely weighs 35. This isn't just terrifying, it's deeply disturbing, because that means the honey badger doesn't just fight with brute force. It fights intelligently. It understands pain, it understands weakness, and it has no problem exploiting it to the fullest. And yes, humans are not exempt. Do honey badgers attack humans? Unfortunately, yes. And we're not talking about one or two isolated incidents. There have been multiple cases over the years of honey badgers going after people, including hikers, farmers, soldiers, and even children. Most of these attacks aren't fatal, but almost all of them are traumatizing. In some instances, people have been bitten on the legs or hands while trying to move a badger away from their property. In others, honey badgers have entered campsites or rural homes in search of food, lashing out when cornered. But the worst stories, the ones that keep you up at night, those come from regions where honey badgers have been found feeding on human remains. Yes, you heard that right. There are reports backed by local authorities and forensic teams of honey badgers digging up shallow graves and feeding on decomposing bodies. And it doesn't stop there. In some war-torn areas or rural conflict zones, honey badgers have been seen feasting on corpses left unattended for days. It's rare, it's horrifying, but it's real. Because when we told you the honey badger eats everything, we weren't exaggerating. They eat hair, skin, bone, feathers, shells, scales, and yes, human flesh. And now you're probably wondering, would they ever attack a living person with the intention to eat them? We don't have scientific proof of that, not yet. But given what we know, the aggression, the intelligence, the lack of fear, the history of corpse feeding, do you really want to take the risk? Let's just say this: if a honey badger decides you're in its way, you are in its way. And that's all it needs to start a fight. How does something so small survive against giants? That's the question people ask the most. How can a 30-pound animal take on something 5, 10, even 30 times its size and win? The answer lies in a combination of factors. First, they're ridiculously hard to injure. Their skin is so thick and loose that even when predators manage to bite them, they often can't hold on or do any real damage. Second, they don't stop. Honey badgers don't have a retreat button. They fight to the end, and most predators, even large ones, eventually decide that the pain and trouble isn't worth it. Third, they've adapted an insane level of pain tolerance. There are accounts of honey badgers continuing to fight, even after sustaining major injuries, including broken limbs and deep puncture wounds. Some researchers believe that honey badgers may have natural opioids in their system that dull pain, allowing them to keep fighting long after other animals would have collapsed. And finally, there's the element of pure wild chaos. Honey badgers are unpredictable. They're erratic. They snarl, growl, hiss, screech, and lash out in all directions. This overwhelming display of aggression stuns predators and gives the badger the advantage, even when it's outmatched in size and strength. It's not just biology, it's personality. The honey badger doesn't act like prey. It acts like something you never should have messed with in the first place. The evolutionary monster. Now, let's take a step back and ask, how did something like the honey badger even evolve? Well, honey badgers have been around for a very long time. Fossil records suggest they appeared during the Pliocene epoch, over 3 million years ago, which means they've survived multiple climate shifts, mass migrations, and changes in the predator-prey landscape. And they didn't just survive, they thrived. That long evolutionary history has shaped the honey badger into what it is today, a highly adaptable, brutally efficient survivor. Over the millennia, they've fine-tuned their bodies to dig, tear, crush, fight, and overcome almost anything that stands in their way. And remember, they don't just live in one region or ecosystem. From the dry heat of Namibia to the humid forests of India, they've spread across continents, tweaking their behavior to fit the challenges of each new environment. A brain to match the brawn. And here's something most people don't realize. Honey badgers are smart. Really smart. In fact, they've shown levels of problem solving that rival some primates. One honey badger named Stoffel, who lived in a wildlife rehabilitation center in South Africa, became famous after repeatedly escaping from his enclosure. Despite fences, locks, and even walls topped with spikes, he used tools, he stacked rocks, he climbed trees and used branches to push open latches. Keep in mind, this is not a chimp or a dolphin. This is a short-legged mammal that eats snakes and rolls in mud. And it was outsmarting humans on a regular basis. And it's not just Stoffel. In the wild, honey badgers have been observed working together, especially mothers teaching cubs how to dig, hunt, and avoid danger. They learn by watching, they adapt, they remember. So now we've got an animal that's strong, resilient, aggressive, and smart. What's left? The animal kingdom's ultimate underdog. Let's look at the big picture for a moment. Most apex predators, lions, crocodiles, leopards, rely on size, speed, or ambush tactics. They calculate risk. They avoid unnecessary conflict. They strike fast and clean. The honey badger is the opposite. It's chaos in motion. It's a bar brawler, a battle-hardened little brute that picks fights on principle. It doesn't care how big you are. It doesn't care how dangerous you are. And it definitely doesn't care what humans think about the food chain. To the honey badger, everything is either a meal, a rival, or something that needs to be taught a lesson. It's the underdog who wins, again and again, because it doesn't know it's supposed to lose. So, could anything ever defeat the honey badger? It's a fair question. Sure, a lion could overpower it, in theory. A hyena might win with numbers. A leopard might land a lucky kill. But none of those predators want that fight because it's not a clean win. It's not worth the wounds. It's not worth the blood. Even nature's biggest bullies walk away when the honey badger shows its teeth. Because when a 30-pound animal eats cobras for breakfast, laughs in the face of venom, breaks bones with its jaw, and charges toward danger with zero hesitation, that's not something you want to mess with. That's something you respect. So now that you know the terrifying truth about honey badgers, what do you think? Would you take your chances out there with one? Or would you be like the lion and give it plenty of space? If this little beast impressed you, shocked you, or maybe even gave you goosebumps, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to join the super stubborn animal crew, where we dive into the wildest, weirdest, and most stubborn creatures on Earth.